Welcome to the MMHP and the 989. Podcasting from the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame in downtown Bay City. Channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history from the city by the bay. And now, Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and your host, Scott Baker.
Rock Legends Hall of Fame with Mad Dog, the power trio of the 70s, putting out that record 617. That's very collectible and seems to be one of the highlights of great Michigan rock, is finding and digging out some of these treasures. These guys are still around here in Bay City. Don no longer plays. Bob is out playing all the time, and Joe occasionally will be playing, and there we're going to be talking about Bluesmobile and the Bob Seger tribute band they're playing in with Sheriff Bill Federspiel here in Michigan, who he also does a Kenny Rogers tribute too. Some of the stuff they do nowadays, but they're going to take us out of the 70s and tell us about the album that they have in the can and some of the more cool little stories that we've missed in the episode 1 are going to be here in episode 2. And they're going to take us to where they left off and where they're at now. So hang on tight. Mad Dog Reunion coming up right now.
You know, you mentioned tape there. The thing was recorded on 2-inch tape, 16 track for that.
Uh-huh.
And they mix, what you do is you mix down to, it's called half track.
Yeah.
It's a 1/4 inch, but you know how your 1/4 inch, you could play it both ways? Well, this was half of that tape.
Yeah, they ran at faster speeds too.
The half track was both tracks. You could only play one way, and that's what you mix down to, and that's what they made the vinyl from.
Yeah,
I just wanted to throw that
it had
technical
a fast
thing.
speed.
That's
on
cool.
15 inches per second.
When Bob was
where the
Bob was
quarter
taking it
track
down, he got it
was,
to
7.5
1/4 inch tape, so you could play it on a common player, because the half track player was kind of rare.
Right.
To find, you know. They had
So did you guys release that on reel to reel as well as vinyl back then?
No. What we did right then.
We tried to get signed.
We had some money left over from our reporting project. We had taken out a bank loan. We had some money left over where we bought 2 plane tickets to New York City.
There was money for a third. I didn't want to go to New York.
Don and I,
of my life.
we flew there. We flew there and we got a room at the Holiday Inn. We had Don's sister had some friends there.
Oh, this is
I think they were in the gay community there, and so they were locked into the what is that area in there? The Chelsea area. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Man, you guys don't want to be staying
at the wrong hotel.
At the Holiday Inn, you want to go to the Chelsea Hotel.
Yeah.
That's where all the musicians stay." So we said we go there, and we called home and telling Joe how it's going, and Don's and Joe hears and what was that? I was just killing a cockroach.
Cockroach. I think was it the cockroaches were bigger or smaller at the Chelsea?
You know what? It was a cool hotel. They had these like wrought iron
it's a classic
porches
place
out in front that you could go out in front and kind of get a little space, and you're above the whole melee of New York City. And New York City in 1976, this would have been.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough area throughout New York at that time.
It was reasonable though. You know, the Holiday Inn was the rent was high, so it was reasonable. So we stayed for a while, and
CBGB stop.
We went to CBGB's. Yeah. You know, we were there.
Yeah.
And
didn't you go to Max's Kansas City too?
Yeah, Max's Kansas City.
We were checking it out, you know.
And we went to all the major labels, and knocked on doors, and man, oh man, it was just like going up the
brick wall.
The wall down in Mexico, you know, a big old brick wall. And we did get in the office of a guy, I don't recall his name, Sire Records. He let us in. And
Seymour Stein.
Well, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Well, he let us in the office, and there we was, but we never cut a deal. And but we hung out there for a while. I could remember we went to a concert in Central Park. Who was that concert? Johnny Winters and I don't know, some blues guy was playing there, and and Don, of course, Don had his leather pants on, and afterwards, when we get home, I read something, a critique in Rolling Stone magazine about the concerts, and they were talking about it, and they said, and in the audience there was bearded men in stifling leather pants, and I knew they were talking about him. So that was our one little piece of press in the Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone, yes.
Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, I got to jump ahead though to this warms my heart personally. It's just a little thing, but so did you guys get into Swan Song Records, or did you just drop the tape?
No, we went knocking on doors.
That's Zeppelin's label.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and me and my naivety thought, if Zeppelin hears us, they'll surely sign us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
feeling good. Yeah.
But they signed a band called Detective around the same time. So I have a playlist from a college radio station. I could show it to you. It's on the website's kind of disarrayed, but so there's Mad Dog, Fishhead Records, and right underneath is Detective Swan Song Records. They signed the wrong band.
Right. Oh, man.
Well, Sire Records signed The Cult right around that time, too.
Oh, did they?
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
it was a weird time because all the punk bands are coming
I
up
know
again,
it, yeah.
and we
I didn't know
Exactly.
the Cult was that late 70s.
Their first record was on Sire.
I remember that. Wow.
Well, it was that for Don and I, it was a good trip. We
Yeah.
might have caught a bus while we were there.
Probably.
I could
Buzz or two.
remember going
I can't
Union
remember being
Square,
there.
and these guys were selling like little
New York
bags
joint.
of pot, and I mean just a little envelope, and I told Don and Christ, I said, Christ, we could make a fortune selling pot here. And the guy selling it to us says, not on my turf, motherfucker.
Not on my corner.
it was like so. Anyway, so we did that thing and come back home, and we didn't cut a deal, so we decided we were just gonna press it up ourselves.
Have you
We
guys,
pressed it ourselves.
have you ever thought that, maybe if you would have hired somebody that, like somebody who is savvy or had experience of working with record labels, that maybe he would have pushed a few buttons that you guys couldn't do? I mean,
Well, you know what's water over the dam.
Yeah.
We just decided.
Gary,
well,
I gotta
we
say, I tried very hard to get a manager because I knew we had a full plate in front of us. I just want to be a singer and play drums. Really, boy, was I ever mistaken, because you had to wear all these hats.
Yeah.
And we had tried a few people. I think if you recall, we went down to DMA. That was Nugent's and Seger's. I mean, we walked right that 12-mile road, and I swear to God, they had a phone console. It was half the size of this table, and it was all lights, and that's all calls coming into this agency. It was a big time,
Well, it ended up being.
And trying to get them to book us, I can't remember if that was before the album come out. We were trying to, got it out. We did have the album out because I can remember I gave them a copy. I said, "Can you help? Literally, can you help us?" And they're kind of humming and hawing, They're kind of looking at us like a cover band or something. I go, "Well, we got a record up,
Yeah.
So we're trying to
Original material.
we're trying to get up to the next level."
So that would have been at least 77.
Gary, I would say that's probably the thing that we did the most, trying to get some help in that area.
No, we went ourselves, and we just decided, well, they're not going to give us a deal. We're just going to press it up ourselves. So we went to some place down in Cincinnati.
Queen City.
Yeah, Queen City.
Album Company.
They
I got a cool story from that.
they made the disc, and we had, at that time, we bought a brand new Chevy van for $5,000. $5,000. And
Imagine getting a new van
And
for $5,000.
we drove down to Cincinnati and picked up 1,000 records, and we jumped in that van and we just started traveling. I can remember one time we were going down the road, and we had bought we'd always rent a rental trailer, and then we're driving down the road, and the damn tire from the trailer's bouncing around in front of us. We realized
God.
we
It went
started
into a
realizing
cornfield.
the nuts and bolts of touring around. Well, geez, you gotta grease the wheels, you know.
Yeah, wow.
So we ended up buying a trailer, and we had that van, brand new van, and 1,000 records, and just started going down the road, and we picked up an agent.
Flint,
No,
Michigan.
No, it was right here in Bay City. It was a realtor
Chuck Kirkbride.
by the name of Chuck Kirkbride. He picked us up, and he just started. I'm guessing that he did a lot of drinking in bars, and he would say, "Oh, I got this deal," and he'd go around, and he took us across the borders, like down into northern Indiana and Ohio, to gigs down there, and also across into Canada, up in the Sault Ste. Marie area, and we ended up going across there. We had to get work visas to go and go across
got a
that
Social Security card for
international
Canada.
bridge, work visas, and I have a Canadian Social Security card.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going up there, and
Did you guys play some gigs in the UP?
Oh,
We did.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the ones in Canada were cool because
You
like we're going.
crossing the international border with your band.
Oh
like-
yeah, and the Canadian the border guard, they're checking us out.
Well,
I mean,
sure.
we got hair down to our ass, and we had these brought these English civil defense coats back from England, and they were long. They're useful, long like a pea coat material, knee length, and we had these hats. They were like wool hats they were wool stocking hats with points on them. We looked like we were from Czechoslovakia or something. But we were crossing the border, and we had to post bond for our equipment. You can't just bring gear across. You got to
Right.
post a bond.
They're afraid that you were going to sell the
Yeah.
stuff there.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
their
right.
whole thing.
Oh,
Right.
and we
So the poor bar owner had to come in and post a $25,000
Yeah.
bond, and he was pissed.
I
I didn't make the rules,
The border guard says, well, you're coming up here. Where are you working? And we're working at McClenahan's. And he says, oh, McClenahan's, eh?
Oh, you're working
you
at
guys go.
McClenahan's then, are ya?
You guys go
You
right
get it.
through. Well, it turns out that McClenahan's was a two-sided bar. One side was strippers, the other side was rock and roll. And
That wasn't the first place we
And
played
in
like
the
that.
middle, there was like dressing rooms, and so, we sort of cross-ventilated in there with the strippers. It was a great gig. They just, because we were Americans, they just loved us up there. And
Yeah.
we went up for 3 days, and I think we ended up staying up there for 3 months.
I can remember getting changing clothes in the kitchen, and the stripper was over there. She did a wedding dress thing, and I was changing my clothes, and we was kind of looking at each other. It was really weird, but it's like showbiz,
We made a lot of money up there. For us, it was a lot of money.
You
It was
kept going back playing that gig?
we just stayed there.
Oh,
We
stayed
went up
there.
there, stayed there. We got
Okay.
some cabin up in the woods, and when we come home, and we had a stack of Canadian money. It looked like Monopoly money, and we
Pretty
ended up,
money.
we ended up living. It was winter, and Jesus Christ, we're coming back, and it was winter, and we were the last vehicle to go over the Big Mac Bridge, and we were in that van. Those frickin' Chevy vans are cold. And we got
damn thing never got
the
warm, I
damn
swear.
those pea coats on and them hats, and we get across in the Mackinac City, and they're the best damn donut and coffee I ever had. We went out and did it. We had a pile of money, and
They
came home and
closed the
lived down
bridge
there.
right after we got through there. I was
Yeah.
driving that day, so I remember it very
wow.
well.
Give us a
My
little
kids,
cabin to
my
stay
kids
in.
say,
Yeah.
"Dad, you're
Yeah.
not going to tell that story
Go in the
again,
front
are
door.
you?"
Well,
The back door, you
it was
couldn't
just
get out because the snow drift was right over the back door, back of the house. So
In
it was
Canada?
Good front door, and that was it.
I just-
Oh my gosh.
If we could go back to Queen City album, I just had a little thing that I don't know if the guys remember this or not. We went down there and toured the plant before we had the stuff done. We toured a plant at QCA. It was a big complex. They had recording studios and stuff. So the guy that's taking us through, he points up. He goes, "That's Scotty Moore right there, coming out of the recording studio. Elvis's guitar player."
Sure.
Well, I didn't give a rip about that, but now I watched Elvis the other night. And I remembered that story.
Oh, man.
But I didn't appreciate Elvis again till later. He's like the guy from before us, you know.
Yeah.
But Scotty Moore.
You were there.
Wow. Another one just brushing elbows.
Yeah.
So here we are in that Chevy van, and we just the booking agents kept getting us working. We just kept driving. We did all these little roadhouses. We used to have them. Michigan's like an island. We used to take the
hard getting
map
off
and
the island.
we'd draw a circle around the town we played in. We called it the measle map. And
still
just
have
endless roadhouse after roadhouse. I used to have a glass of whiskey always sitting back on my amp back behind us, and my stick has always been. You guys probably seen it. I changed instruments a lot, and I would in that whiskey I would keep the mouthpiece of that tenor saxophone in there to get it
Moist,
get it moist,
Keep that reed wet.
and then just before the song would come up, I think my big one was like Brown Sugar and Betty Lou's Getting Out Tonight. I would put it on there real quick and flip it over there and play it, then set it down and grab the guitar. It's just three of us,
It's
But
awesome.
there's another thing Bob had in his sax case, and it was a flask.
Oh yeah.
You get these people, they love you, so they could get you like 5 drinks. Well, if we drank all those drinks, we'd been plastered and we couldn't play. Well, Bob had his little funnel and a flask. He took those drinks.
Take 'em home.
And that flask was full all the time, so if you wanted to hit, it's so funny.
Yeah, so that was
He even
our
had the
world.
funnel to go with it so he didn't
we
spill
went and
any,
drove that van, and we drove it
Drove it
right till
yeah.
it was smoking and rusty, and I can remember, I don't know, we pulled in and we played some gig at the Saginaw Civic Center, and we came in with, kind of the end of the road. Like the van was kind of, the band, we had after Don left, we had a couple more people come, and we played a few more gigs, but that was about
How
it.
long did you guys take to record this record? Were you at that Glen Arbor studio for
It probably got done in about 3 days.
3 days?
4 days.
And then
It was
and
quick.
mixed?
Yeah.
It was quick because of the cost.
That's why I wondered. I wondered how.
We had a budget. I would just like to mention that they're all gone now, but our parents co-signed loans to pull all this
cool.
off.
Yeah, the
And we
van.
never-
I think the van too.
And we
yeah.
never stiffed. We didn't get any money laid on us, but we never stiffed on those loans. We paid every one of those loans, and we did it by playing gigs too. So our
Yeah.
parents were really in our corner. Not my dad, but my mom, Gus. That's Don's dad, Gus. I mean, Gus was on the hook for money.
Was he the one that signed for the van? I think. maybe
yeah,
he
he
was.
did.
Yeah.
Don may not remember, but I remember.
Well, you guys made kind of a bold move or a bold strategy of taking a large number of albums and mailing them to record radio stations.
Yeah, we
so
went
tell us a little bit about
national
that.
with that. I think we put up about 600 out there, and and
Again,
shipped them.
we're going for the big time, and we weren't, kind of the thing. A lot of the bands back in those days, like Bobby's band, Bobby Balderrama, you do a single, trying to get something going, Well, we're sitting around going, well, let's do an album, let's really. And then of course I might have caught some flack on the 500 albums out for free, but I was going for the country, not Bay City, not Michigan, but the whole.
That was
damn
half of the
country.
printing, right? 500
Yeah,
going
pretty
out.
much, yeah, because it was
500 to sell.
1,000.
Yeah.
I think we got a redo of a couple hundred later on.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so that's they didn't have the expression of it like go big or go home, but that's what it was.
We ended up getting radio play on all the public stations. The commercial ones never played anything, but all the public stations, they probably now would give you a spin.
I read years later that was, I didn't know this at the time, and they actually came after, but as REM used the same strategy. They did instead of trying to break on the commercial stations, they did colleges.
College radio
And
was real big, yeah.
But we couldn't pull this off. When they got at a station at a college, they went and played the college. Well, we couldn't pull that off. For whatever reason, didn't have the agents.
We got one distributor to take some down. I think they're out of Kalamazoo.
We were
I can't
talking
recall
earlier.
the
What was
name
that
of the
guy's
distributor,
name?
but they took and
Handelman.
put some out in Handelman.
Handelman.
Yeah, they put some out
Well, they were
in
huge.
stores.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
big
They
time
did,
distributor.
they did take it on, but
And
we
Bob walks there. He goes, "I want to talk to Mr. Handelman." Well, we didn't know if there really was a Mr. Handelman, but there was. It was called Handelman. You know, he was and Bob walked in his office. You know, he did that.
What were you saying, Don? You said
I
something a
was
minute.
wondering who Bobby Balderrama.
Oh, he was the guitar player with
The
is the guitar
Mysterians,
player
yeah.
with the Mysterians.
Right.
Question mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
You hung with them, Don. I know you did because
Yeah,
you
I
come
can't
over to the
remember. I
house.
did yesterday. Damn it.
Yeah, there's a couple pictures of Bobby up behind you.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
He's
a
got
cool-
the cowboy hat on the album cover.
Well, we would always have a box with us, you know, T-shirts
Sold a
and
lot
out
of
on the
gigs,
road.
yeah.
We sell them for $5 at the
Help
gigs.
a lot,
and
you know.
I can
get your
remember,
money and
you know, it was kind of it was kind of painful sometimes. Like one time we sold 11 records down in, maybe it might have been 13 records down in Indiana, and we were coming home on Sunday morning and the frickin' tire blows out on the trailer once again, and we had to pay whatever we made on the records to buy a new tire. You know, highway robbery.
That was kind of like the size of it. You can
Yeah.
win here and you lose here,
Yeah,
win here,
and,
lose.
and, you know we all
It's like a yin yang.
we always kept track of all the money and paid our taxes. Well, let me tell you, the tax man, they wanted everything, you know, everything that any gravy. They wanted that damn money, but we always
like
took
a-
care of them. We
Yeah,
paid
even
our
with-
share.
Even with the union, you know, we were in this local. Well, they had the state of Michigan was cut up to different areas. Well, if you played outside of your local, you had to pay union dues in the local where you worked. So
yeah, you're
everybody
traveling.
had their hand out, and you get back home and you're kind of gone.
Nothing
This is
left.
my share, you know.
Right.
There was a lot of that.
Freddie, did you have a record store during that time period? Were you selling those records? How did you get them distributed to you, or did they bring them in?
Well, we had a distributor out of Kalamazoo, but it wasn't Handelman, and I can't think of the
Handelman's out of
name.
Detroit, I think.
Right.
Kalamazoo.
But the
is somebody else.
Kalamazoo one, I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Because we went there actually the first time to pick up all the records.
He supplied you with Mad Dog records?
No,
Oh,
I think one of these guys brought it in.
We were
Cool.
talking earlier before the podcast, and probably one of us, and probably was Bob. Bob did a lot of legwork on it. We just consignment, walk in, how many will you take?
that's cool.
Well, the record stores mostly were okay with it. They didn't have to lay out cash.
Yeah, Lucky's in Bay City. They sold a lot of them. You know,
Lucky's.
over on,
Well, I was
over on
Black
Midland
Kettle
Street.
in
Sure.
Saginaw in '77, and I had the record,
Yeah. And Bob,
but I don't remember how exactly
Right,
how
right.
I got it.
I'm here to tell you, it's probably Bobby walked in there with a fistful of them. So.
Well, Don and I, you know, we traveled together. Don has you don't wouldn't know it at the moment, but he had the gift of gab, and we just went out there and pushed it, and we did what we did.
If we had a promotion, man, and
We had fun.
people had
Caught a
it was
buzz.
Don.
Caught a buzz. You know. You know.
The problem with bands leaving on consignment was when I went out of business, they never picked them up.
We lost.
Right.
We lost.
So
a
I
lot that way.
had boxes of different
Yeah.
records.
A few years later, we went back trying to pull them, and they said, "Who? What?" You know, we lost some that way, but it was worth a shot.
You know what? I got to say, it, you know, you talk about a band. You know, the three of us sitting here. Well, it wasn't just us. We had, you know, from the start, we had like all my high school buddies were all in there stagehand. I can remember they used to wear hard hats and would just say Mad Dog Road Crew, you know. And then once those guys all went and started having their kids and we're still out there touring around, we ended up our gals, and you know, we had one guy in particular, Rick Brooks, you know, Sound and Lights. Rick Brooks, he was a half
He was Asian.
half Chinese, half American guy, and
His
he-
nickname was Chink. I said,
Oh, my God.
man, I can't call you that. And he says, "Oh yeah, you call me Chink. That's my name."
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, it was he come around right about the time that you know, he was a big Kiss fan, the Kiss thing. So you know, we had It was Don's idea. Well, we got to have a light show. So we paid a special attention to getting some nice lights, and this Chink guy, he was
Rick Brooks is his
he was at
real
the
name. He's
the
not with
center
us
of
anymore.
these he traveled with us, and he would they would help us set up the gear, and it was big gear, a lot of stuff. It isn't like you go into a place and the stuff was set up. We brought it all with us, and we had it was like a musician. The light fisher was like a musician. They had cues, and they'd bring the lights up or down, down, and well, Chink, he was experimenting with lasers. He had a
laser, and this was back. You know how I have it on a pen now for $2. Well, this thing costs hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
We had seen Blue Oyster Cult in Saginaw. I don't know if you saw that show. They had massive lasers. They had when I saw it at the Civic Center, the cooling hoses were this big around the water to cool those things. And they got in a lot of trouble with the government and stuff because of the radiation and that. I saw this one show in particular. It made you sick. Looked cool as hell, but it was making you sick to your stomach.
Well, I don't know.
We were trying to do the arena thing in a small room.
Well,
kind of thing.
Rick, he had some ideas like one thing we did. We would we had a mirror ball going, and we had these cop lights that would go too, and then this laser and the fog machine. Don would always, but before we go out on the road, we had this big old cooler. We'd go and
25 pounds of dry ice.
we'd pick up dry ice,
You had
and
to
this
take
thing
it
was
on
like
the road and keep it.
It was like we had this fog machine. It was like an old beer barrel that we somehow jerry rigged it, and we at
a hot plate underneath it.
Before the last set, we would prime it up, get it ready to go. So that, Chink would go out and get it ready to go, and this would be at the end of the show, and it was like we would play this boogie song, and it would be like and there'd be a point where he let off a flash pot, when the song would start, flash pot, and then we had all this smoke in the air and the fog machine and these lights spinning around and me guzzling whiskey like a sailor
a few times.
and it was just
I can remember
cool.
the flash pot blowing
pandemonium.
Don's hat off because he'd like to stick his face right over the flash pot and blow his hat right off.
One time,
Don, don't do that, man.
One time we were at this nightclub and it had one of these ceilings, the drop ceilings, and that damn thing blew the tiles right out of the ceiling, and all these wires are hanging down, and the bar owner's in there, and we're playing at 120 decibels, and I could just see his arms up in the air and his mouth
He was
moving.
having
And then we're rocking this
show
sucker,
business, baby.
And the thing was it wasn't. We were there for it was during a demographic time. People our age, we were partying like
animals,
wild. These kids now could not even come to. It was like, the world's gonna end tomorrow. Let's party, and we were. There was a ton of us.
You guys have any audio or video footage of any of those shows?
There's very rare because obviously there wasn't video cams around. I just
wondered.
Did a show at the. I would like to find this video. I don't know if I can. We did a show at the Civic Center. It wasn't for a big name. It was a showcase for bands and a battle of the bands. We weren't in the battle because they're later on. We don't want to do battles anymore. But they had pitched a thing where they videotaped all the bands, and you could buy the tape after. Well, we didn't buy it. I regret it.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted a few $100s, It was, but that's out there somewhere, and there's... one time we did a show. I think it was it was a benefit for Boys and Girls Club. Somebody hired somebody to videotape it. I don't have that, so it's very rare.
Wow.
If there's any video out there of us, I don't know about it other than those two instances.
Is that the Boys and Girls Club of Bay City?
Yeah, we did We did a lot of benefits, when we could.
Do you know what year that might have been?
I'm thinking 82. It'd be early
Yeah,
80s.
probably none of the directors are still alive. I know my friend Tom Burt was director there for quite a few years. And then the guy that donned, somebody replaced Tom.
They actually
He
sent
passed
us a
away.
thank you letter for doing the gig, and the name's on there. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I have the letter.
Okay.
I have all of our historical shit.
You got some photos then, or probably what you guys have available. You kept them all.
I got tons of stuff. I'm getting to the age. I gotta
He's the
think
keeper
about,
of the scrapbook.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got two. I'm getting to that age now. I have to think about. I hope my kids preserve it, and stuff
Oh, yeah,
like that,
yeah.
because I'm not gonna be here forever.
As we talk
We're
about
in the
this,
final
I've been
quarter,
I read online. There's a second record that never got released. What's up with this? Is it ever
Oh,
gonna
it's a
come out?
heartbreaker because it's in the can, except it's not mixed down. But we paid for and did a second album, but we just
With
didn't
this
have-
lineup?
I'm sorry.
Was it
Yeah.
this lineup?
Yeah.
Yep.
Where did you record the second one?
It's actually there was actually a few different sessions. One of them was at A Squared in
In
Oh,
Howard.
wow. There we
A
go.
Square Studios, and then
Jeep
the other
Holland.
one was Pearl Sound. That guy, he headed out to California at some point. But
At
that-
one of those sessions, I think we had a producer, Dan Ragland. He was like into music around that.
well,
that
that's a
neck of the
cool
woods.
story because that was at Pearl Sound,
Mhm.
and my sister had a friend of a friend, and he hooked us up. He kind of did this first and last time we had a producer. But the cool thing is these guys do the Nally family. They own music stores in Ann Arbor.
Oh, very
Their
famous
sister
music store.
was a record president at, I want to say Atco maybe, and so the idea of this whole thing was to get us in the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, we got in the back door, but nothing panned out. And Al Nelly also managed Blackfoot. You
Right.
probably heard of
Yeah.
Blackfoot. Right?
They were in Ann Arbor for a little bit. They're based out of Ann Arbor.
Okay.
in
Well, he
the
probably
late
brought
80s.
them up because I think they're from Florida or something,
Yep.
or Georgia.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Ricky
they
Medlock.
recorded up to Schoolhouse
Yeah.
Records up in Ann Arbor.
Okay. Yeah, so we're like, because it was always, you try to go in the front door of a label, it's like, good luck.
Well,
But
now-
this was going to be a
nowadays-
back door thing,
Yeah.
but again, it didn't pan out.
Nowadays, we've had some labels approaching us for doing like some outfit out of Spain. The connection was a guy down in Chicago. He wanted to just buy the rights to it and produce it, and they do a lot of these older hippie group kind of things.
Well, right. If
compilations.
they're looking for,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a couple of them with German labels. They wanted
Yeah.
to lease a certain song.
Yeah, they wanted to,
for
they wanted to do
a
that.
year or
I
two.
actually had a deal set up to go, and for whatever reason, it wasn't enough money. Joe didn't want to do it, and he put a veto on a deal. But I did.
Sorry, Bob.
I did go down and met with a guy in Chicago and had dinner with him and had a record exec had a deal, but he didn't want to do it. He wanted to keep it.
What year was that?
Maybe 3 years ago.
And you just printed these CDs how long ago?
Oh, it's been a while.
I see that album
That's-
is on Discogs. It sold for $175.
That's probably the vinyl.
Right, it's
Yeah.
the vinyl.
But
Yeah,
the
it's-
vinyl's
it's-
really
You're
good.
talking
it's
recent, though.
So there was
recent,
only
so-
1,000 pressed.
Oh well, it ended up
1,200.
we ended up getting 200
Okay.
more pressed, and the
We
200
sold
were-
them out, and
the other 200 they seemed like they were as good a quality. They were thinner. They used to make them pretty thick, and then they like everything else.
on that though, on the CD, there's a whole story behind that. Somebody took our stuff without permission,
and bootlegged it, right?
bootlegged it.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
wind of it, and I fought the fight from as much as a guy can do in his office with a computer. And because we were being stolen from, and some people would say, wasn't that flattering? I said, no, it's not flattering. You like to be stolen from? No, it's not flattering. Maybe this much. But so I went to war with these people. Gary knows this story, but I went into the FBI because copyright infringement.
Yeah.
That's
right.
federal
That's
law.
their purview.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
their
So
purview,
the cops you call on that one are the FBI.
Really?
So I walked in there. They're right in Bay City here.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, they said, well, you can send out cease and desist. I said, oh, so I did all that. And some people abided by that. Others are like,
Fuck it.
yeah, they didn't care. Come get me, but I didn't have the resources. But
I
So
think you're
the-
right. I think it is flattery in a way, but
At
it
the
is
same
what
time,
it is.
you're
It was really a good time, doing this for 10 years. I don't regret a damn minute.
Amazing. It's
But I did the CD,
you had this printed,
but it was more of an ad, and I put a website together to combat this. I thought, well,
I heard you say something about that earlier.
if people want this,
Okay.
So I still, sold some, not a lot, but it was more a labor of love. I still got it going. The website's in tatters, but I had to switch companies. But my grandson's helping me with that. But anyway,
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for inviting us over here.
Oh,
Bob,
heck
you
yeah.
sound like you're trying to get out of here. What's up?
Well, it's about a wrap, I think.
Well,
That-
what are we doing now? You guys are playing now? What bands? Let's give a little. I mean, if you guys want to get tracked down, people want some autographs. You're in here in Bay City. You guys are gigging all the time still. So
I've been playing with
Bob's the
the
most
Bluesmobile for the last 12 years.
that's where I
it's
see
been
you.
it's been a changing cast of characters.
Yeah.
Lot. I hate to say it, but they're dropping like flies.
Yeah.
But
So you don't see the Bluesmobile playing this summer? I know
it's
it's
still
you had a regular gig there at
still-
Jake's Corner Lounge.
Yeah, it's still a viable entity, and
Okay.
but it changed the musicians, and then I play with the Rewind, the soul band from Saginaw. In fact, I was rehearsing late with them last night, and pretty cool outfit, but I am like a fly in the ointment, except opposite there. But I'm learning from the East Side Saginaw black musicians. They're just they got the bar set high.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody does around this neck of the woods. There is some players, and you can't bullshit people here.
Yeah, it's a good music scene in Mid-Michigan.
And I got this the Sheriff Federspiel over in Saginaw County.
Oh, that's right.
Has picked me up as a piano player to play his Bob Seger, Kenny Rogers tribute thing. Which is,
Someone we didn't mention here is your former girlfriend and now wife Ellen, who she played a pretty important role in the band.
Yeah, well,
right?
that's what I was saying before. That I just got to one person. There's been some people behind this group, and Ellen was she went on the road with us, and she ended up running the lights and sound, and booking our some of the gigs, booking the hotel rooms.
I got to tell you, we used to bring our food with us.
Oh yeah.
Because at 3 a.m. sometimes you can't get anything to eat. So Ellen would cook us dinner after the gig.
Oh yeah, we'd be in a hotel
I'll
room and we'd
never forget it because
cooking bacon
be starving,
in the hotel room.
And but Ellen never bitched, not a word. Run sound all night,
Wow.
lights, and she'd
Yeah.
cook us dinner after.
Did she
Love
collect
you,
the money
Ellen.
too?
She got a share.
I mean, did she collect the money from the bar owners?
No,
or
that was always
venue
Don.
owners?
That was
Don was in
Don,
there.
he had
Don-
a silver tongue. He'd be in there. He'd be in there
get the
partying
rebooking.
with him, and probably hitting on the bar owner's wife, or and getting lucky most of the time. And damn you.
Okay.
You got any last words, Don? You want to tell us any stories you remember? Do we shake some memories loose?
I don't remember half of this. I don't even remember going to New York.
Oh boy. Well, thanks for making it over, for being part of the show, just to see the reunion of you guys.
Yeah,
We appreciate you.
You guys made it
Okay,
happen. Get us
Alzheimer's
all
Yeah,
in the
it's very
same
cool.
room at the same time.
Yeah.
It's
Dude.
pretty cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
This is great.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.
Great meeting
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Good to see you. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. That was cool.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
The MMHP is hosted on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and our own Libsyn podcast site. You can also search MMHP 989 on Facebook for up-to-the-minute information, as well as both Dr. J and Sir Fred's album picks of the week, posted every weekend. Don't forget to look for Mr. Mike's local music live series, posted frequently on MMHP's Facebook hub, as well as Scott's Mid-Mitten 15 from Harvest Canteen, featuring one-on-one interviews with Michigan music artists. You can connect with Scott on the web at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, Mr. Mike at YouTube at Mr. BT1. That's MRBTEE and the number 1. Brought to you by Michigan Rock and Roll Legends, located both inside the Bay County Historical Museum on Washington Avenue, as well as Scotty's Sandbar on Evergreen Drive at the Bay City Middle Grounds.
On behalf of our hosts, Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and myself, this podcast wouldn't have been here without the voice of the MMHP, Mr. Eddie Switek, the generosity of the Bay County Historical Museum, which hosts the Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame, as well as this podcast, Mr. Alan Garcia, all of our guests, and especially to the listeners.
Yeah, at that
Thank you.
Golden Glow thing, I'm pretty sure I was there.
Yeah.
But I remember there was 2 big rooms, and I was in the opposite room where
Up front was
where
like
the
a
stabbing
bar.
happened.
Yeah, like a bar.
And we were going, what? A stabbing? Really?
Oh, it's terrible.
Because there was nothing going on in the other room.
Unfortunately, it was a
And then because we
good
left.
night besides that, because everybody's partying, having a great time.
It was. I call a gig like that a crasher basher. You
Yeah.
played them.
Yeah.
When you there's some of them that are just like, wow, this is going on, and we're just like riding the damn.
Freddie's
wave.
got the story of him at Iggy and Stooges in the Delta College. He's in the front row with that chick in the Rolling Stone laying on her lap.
No, not the front row.
Oh.
He was on stage and he walked off stage and picked up the dean's daughter. Well, they fell on my leg.
Damn, Freddie's been at every wild show. This shit's gone down.
But the thing about Iggy, you heard of body surfing. He was the original body surfer.
Yeah.
He just
I would have
stage.
never have done that. Just
They-
go out
They
the
hand you
audience.
across.
Yeah.
Well, one time he dove and they didn't catch him. They just
Whoa.
he got mangled that time. I heard about it.
God, he sure is something.
Well, that day he was scratching his stomach and blood was coming out. I mean, it looked like blood.
The legend is, people thought he cut himself open as part of the show. Well, that wasn't the truth. The truth was somebody threw a broken glass and he rolled on it accidentally.
jeez.
And, but Iggy being Iggy, he made it part of the show. 'Cause I read recently where a friend of his, they took him to the ER to get stitched up.
I'm sure.
It wasn't part of the show.
Did you guys play with Iggy and Stooges?
No.
Any other Michigan bands?
I met him at Roll Air.
Really?
Yeah, because we went to see. I saw Stooges many times. Gary knows this. You could.
He bummed the cigarette from you, right?
Yeah, and he got the girl, but don't worry, we didn't have a chance anyway.
Right.
She went big. But,
No, what other bands? I failed to ask. Did you share the stage with some other cool bands? Or anybody that didn't get cool that you guys thought was cool from around Michigan? I usually like to ask the Michigan question.
One connection is, and we didn't open for him, but a club we played at was with, I think it was a band was called Toby Red. And Toby Red, the drummer, is
in Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Turned into
Smith.
their drummer. So we were running the
Yeah.
same circles. And one other band, it was another battle of the bands. It was down in Jackson. And the band's name was Muggsy. They ended up being Cub Coda's backup band and
Yeah.
later on in his career. So a couple, the big names are Seger and MC5.
Oh, for sure.
But
Yeah, we mostly just played gigs just ourselves, or with a warm-up act.
No, when you played with Seeger, didn't he have that drummer that Peppy or whatever his name was?
Pepperine?
Pepperine. They didn't have, not that drummer. That was like out at Roll Air, and I didn't actually see it. It's only recent years I saw pictures because I always heard about it.
Because I remember that. They
had
played
steel-
at Daniel's Den.
Steel oil drums, 55-gallon
Yeah.
drums. Well, the drummer would
There's
just...
some video footage now of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
was
it-
with the Bob Seger system.
Yeah.
Right.
And you guys were in the
So-
Silver
there's a-
Bullet
yeah,
first
right.
round. So
That
And
was
there was
Yeah.
pictures of that late 60s Roll Air. and he had that.
Did you guys do anything with Wagner after he was already going national at that point? Anything with him?
I love Dick Wagner. I'm a fan, and I got a signed CD to me and my wife, just
I think
before
Wagner was in.
He was already in New York at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a guy, if ever should have been big time, and you may have thought he was big time with Cooper and that, but he's like a side man, really.
Yeah.
But he should have been.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, he was a session man for Atlantic Records because I have a reggae album
Yeah.
where on one song on the album
Mm-hmm.
he does a solo,
Yeah.
and
It may have been produced by Bob Ezrin because Ezrin
Oh,
would
it
use him
could
as a
have been.
tool.
that was the connection, but so he's not credited, but he's playing on Train Kept a Rolling
The second half. Yeah.
with Aerosmith.
Yeah. First half, Steve Hunter, and the live half where the train comes in, that's Wagner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I used to work with Wagner for 3 years.
Okay,
did
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. You're a lucky man. But
Were you with
At a
when-
studio,
when-
WMG.
when John Martin was playing with him?
I wasn't in the band. I was at a studio.
Oh, okay.
When he was in Saginaw. I was there from 99 to 2000 to 2003. In 99, they were like, "Oh, you're the writer for the paper. Come on in and help us out." And then Ray York was a studio engineer with him, and Don Richard, who's like to this day runs some of the Wagner stuff. They were both like, "Get Scott in here." So I would sit in there. They got me an office, a computer,
Nice.
and I was trying to do. I got him
That is-
reconnected with
that
Steve
is
Hunter.
really
Steve
cool.
flew in. Got him reconnected with Tony Levin. Went down, had dinner with the drummer from back in the day. All those dudes. Anyway, I got him reconnected. What did I?
is he
is
hard to
doing-
work with?
Dick, no. Dick would come in, hang out. He'd be like, "What's going on, Scott?" He was like, "How can we do this to take it to the next level?" And one day he's like, "I'm moving out of town." He got reconnected with his first love there, Sandy,
Back to
and
Arizona.
went back to Arizona, and we were done.
I kind of
So,
aware of a lot of that. I didn't know you worked with him, but
Yeah.
I was sure. Wow, he come back to Saginaw. This is going to
yeah.
be cool.
I missed the big '90s comeback where he did all the shows and Remember the Child, but I
Yeah.
came in at the tail end because I was the Saginaw News and Bay City Times writer, and they thought,
Oh,
well,
okay.
Scott can help us with that, and the internet was new. I was pretty hip to it, so.
Yeah.
I
I
was
just-
at a party when he first took LSD, and he totally flipped out, man.
Well,
And I heard that was the beginning of his drug years.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, he was really against drugs. You read some interviews with him
Oh yeah, that he
in the
became.
'60s.
Oh, in
the
the
late
60s.
'60s.
Well,
This.
Well, he was at Jim Bowler's party, and my friend Tony had a tray of LSD, and I saw him. He took one and ate it.
the good news is it was one.
Right. Yeah.
But only recently I read the Beatles. Rubber Soul was the Pot album, and what was the next album? Revolution.
Revolver.
Revolver. That
Yeah.
was the Acid album.
There you are. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they had to do Sgt. Pepper's and White Album after that. Yeah, it makes sense.
But I mean, well, the album was influenced by the drugs. It's hard to separate them.
I got a question, and I want to add this back into the show. I'll probably put it as a tag, though, but tell us your Burdens connection. You got in the reunited version of the Burdens. You've played with Scott and them a lot over the years. I forgot to totally add that in here.
Well, if you talking about the couple of key gigs, well, one of them, they were at that Boys Club benefit. Them, the Burdens, and the KMJ band.
Yeah.
We were on that bill too. And then when they got kidnapped and all their stuff stolen, and we did the benefit for their equipment, we were on that gig with them and the KMJ band. And when Mad Dog was over, well, before it was over, when we were at the end of our thing, we had a band house over on the west side on Indiana Street. Well, right on the same block or adjacent backyards, the KMJ band had a band house there too.
Right around the corner.
And they were just playing. That's what they did. They played in that band house. We went out on the road. We'd come back at 4 or 5 in the morning, and they'd still be partying over in that house next door, and people would be pissing out the upstairs windows.
It was,
You know,
you saw the movie Animal House. It was like that.
and it's just like, you know, I didn't know these guys, but you know, one time Vinny, that'd be the bass player for the band, he got stuck out in front of our house in a snowstorm, and we all piled out of our house and pushed him out. That's the first time I met him, and I don't know, you know, I got into the habit of going over to that house on Sunday afternoons with this homemade beer. I still make it. I bring a 12-pack of homemade beer, and I go over and jam with them, because we were always wondering, well, who is that drum kit mic'd, or what's the deal? Because the drums were always so loud. Well,
He's what you call a heavy hitter.
Yeah, it was
You
this
need me, Mike.
Mark Nearing Mako back there playing the drums, and he hit that snare drum, and it sounded like a firecracker going off. I mean, right? I mean, you know, I don't care if you were if you was playing in a restaurant. The first thing you'd do is, you know, bam, hit that thing, and all of a sudden, well, who the hell? What is this? So when Mad Dog was over, I just piled right over into the KMJ band. We did some gigs for a while, you know, and then the Burdens, their bass player got thrown in jail for, I don't know what the hell it was, child support or something. Who knows? You know,
Bob, wasn't there a family connection between the Burdens and the KMJ band?
No,
None at all?
But when
Well,
their bass,
there'd be an Essexville connection.
Yeah, you
definitely.
know who it was? It was Joe Schultz.
Yeah, well,
he worked
well,
for the
yeah, well,
KMJ band.
Joe Schultz was
His
the
brother
sound
was in
man
the
for the
Burdens. There's a
KMJ band.
connection. There you go.
But
Yeah, Paul.
anyways, so you know, we did some gigs for a while, but then the Burdens, they really had it going on, and their bass player got thrown to jail. Well, they hired Vinny on, and Vinny went and played with them for nine years.
Yeah.
9
Was
years
it
he
that
played
long?
with them.
I had no
Oh,
idea.
yeah,
I thought
and
it was
so-
a couple years.
So after a point, you know, they were out there three-piecing it, and they contacted me to play some piano.
I met you. That's where we met.
Yeah.
Because you were on that 5 Cent Penny album, or whatever the hell that thing is, that record that came out. I did
know.
a story on that way back.
Anyways,
I
that,
met you that.
so that was the deal there. And Christ, I ended up playing with him for a long time. Just, you know, being the piano guy. Well, Christ, all I ever heard of, all the time I played with him for decades. All I ever heard was the piano player that played with him for about a year or two, and there I was playing with him for 25 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you're the new guy that played with them for 25
yeah.
years.
You know when
This happens.
I've always been kind of like a plumber. You know, I pick up my case and go to work.
I remember you were at the River
Wasn't
Rock for that
the
release
bass
party.
player and the keyboard player brothers?
Yeah.
Dave and Jim?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
right.
Dave is the guy who left. He moved to Indiana or something
Right.
like
Yeah.
that.
Right. I
He
found
left,
it-
went to college and just stayed left. And then
Yeah.
when he was left, you know, and then he was gone. But you know, they had a great thing going on. You know, it was torn. Their music was torn down, sparse. There was a point, you know, between, you know, when rock and roll was pure, and then all got so complicated with all this stuff, fuzz boxes and all that, and you know, Paulie Schultz, you know, he plays a guitar with no effects pedals plugged in. That, you know what? I learned that from him. I play guitar. I don't use the effects. I don't have the
It was
big
kinda
echo
like-
machine anymore.
They were, you know, you could see it, the scene changing, you know, with those guys.
When we interviewed
Skinny ties and
Causley,
stuff, you know.
he was talking about the romantic set, the REM Verge, with it.
Short songs
Yeah.
instead of 6 minutes.
Yeah, it was a different
self-indulgent.
thing. You guys were just ahead of them, Bird and
solos,
stuff.
you know,
Yeah, with the
but you know,
psychedelics.
you can see it coming. You know,
I think I had a drummer that I don't know, he got probably thrown in jail or sick or something, and Scott, I called Scotty up, and he came in and filled in, you know, on some dates, and I think I started getting a relationship with him, and oh my gosh, I've been working with him for a long time now. Hell of
I
a
met,
good guy.
I
You know,
Scott
Scotty
Causley.
looked pretty good last night, too.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. You know.
Yeah,
I-
that surgery really worked for him.
Yeah, he got over some pretty heavy sailing and it looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty down when I I talked to him before we left, thinking, I'm probably never going to be able to play the drums again, and he's miserable and pain all the time, and yeah, he just looked great last night. We went over to.
I just wanted to say that I met Scotty
Scotty's.
at that benefit that we did for him, and I knew him ever since. And he's a real nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
And
Yeah, so-
real easy to get along. A lot of guys, in music, they're pricks. I just got to say it.
So
Not Scotty was just.
So those two bands have
talk
been,
with you,
it's been
about this and that.
those two bands have been in my world for a long time, and I can remember one point. Well, I was playing with the KFJ band and the Burdens at the same time.
You poor bastard.
And you know what? I had this brainchild to get the two bands together and play a gig. It took me a while, and we did. We ended up playing over at this this big Empire Theater, the big old kind of defunct theater that's over here now. And
I saw you guys there.
We had the two bands play together, and there was a point where we each played a set, and then we combined the bands, and that was freaking cool.
That's cool.
During that time, I lived in Saginaw. That's where I grew up. But we had the Flies,
Oh yeah.
the Flies,
The-
and the
the,
Burdens.
Mark Miller,
They were
Johnny
the
Crocker.
two hot bands
Oh,
at that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was called like New Wave, which was
Right.
actually
The
kind of going
benefit-
back to the mid
I'm
'60s
sorry.
sound.
The benefit for Boys and Girls Club, they were on the bill too.
The
Us,
Flies.
The Flies. and-
I was their
and
manager
the
for a
Burdens.
while.
Yeah. Well, I liked them because they played the Doors.
Well, they turned me on to, and I owned a record shop at the time, but they turned me on to the Police and all these new wave bands that I wasn't hip to,
Yeah,
and I learned
it's
it from them.
One thing, the music biz is in a state of flux. That's if there's anything steady about it, that's what it is. It's always changing.
Yeah.
It's just some rapper was on there and he said like this was it Spotify. He's got like 1 billion hits, and his money for that is like 45 grand, and that sounds like a lot of money, but 1 billion hits should be 45 million, not
Right.
40. So that's that's going on now, and I'm looking at this like, oh, this has got to change.
Yeah. Well,
The artists need
yeah.
to get more money for their plays.
There's a Spotify issue right now. That's something we're all on board for right now. Is getting the changes. I mean, Weird Al's Christmas thing, where we all get our Spotify, how many tunes you guys are in, and it's like his thing was like, "Thank you for the millions of spins, my fans. I got a $12 check. I'm gonna have a good burger.
Yeah.
Thank you all."
This is
And
what
that
I'm
was
talking
his
about.
thing. Yeah.
I'm really not in it, or anything, but
Yeah.
when I look at it, the biz of it, I go, man, the artists are getting ripped off.
Completely.
And if it's a small artist, that money would really make a difference.
Totally.
If it was moved up.
Yep.
The big guys, they're already got it going
Yeah.
on anyway. So, but
I own
it
a
needs to
publishing
change.
company where each quarter I get about that thick of royalty pages,
Yeah.
and I end up, the last one I got $5.86.
That's what I'm talking about.
So how can I even split that up,
Yeah.
with the artists?
I recorded a couple CDs with the Bluesmobile. We just did some small pressings, and one of the records
It's a
we
good
had
album, by
we
the
had
way,
a couple
Bob. It's a
we had a
really
couple covers
nice
on it,
album.
and I hunted down the licensing people and paid their fees. Told them how much how many we were going to make. This is the right thing to do.
It's not even that hard to do the right thing.
No.
Well,
Easy
it's
song
I think
list.
the
harder
kids
than what
today
you think
want
to
it
find
all
them
for
licensing
free.
companies
nice.
I hear ya.
of them songs.
They expect it for free, and you go, "Wait, people made this and sweated and bled and paid money. They need to get paid."
That's why I'm not a songwriter, but I think, what's the use of writing a song anymore?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll tell you
you
what,
always want to
I
hit.
always play some of my songs every time I play, and I
Yeah.
get a lot more pleasure out of playing my stuff than the other
I
stuff.
only reason I play still is because I do my own stuff.
I still have to play them evergreens, but I pepper them originals in there.
Yeah.
And it's ever changing deal. I got a lot of songs that I wrote.
You're a good songwriter, Bob.
Well, better now than what I was, and I was not that.
I know it more than the
adolescent
rest
fluff.
of the world.
You would. Can we get a photo with you guys?
Early stuff
Sure.
has its charm now.
This is the most fun I had in a long time. I gotta tell you.
Awesome.
It's Netflix every night, and it's getting really boring.